Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Archlector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
As you all know, we're covering The Blade itself, the first book in the original trilogy. Today, we'll be covering The House of the Maker on this episode. So let's get started. Just want to thank everybody again for all your support. And just another little reminder to follow us on social media, please. And and we're doing stuff on our YouTube page. Harrison has been pumping out videos like a rabbit making babies. Nuts. George, as we all know, is taking a sweet
I'm still
time.
working on the same video, so yeah.
By the time
It's called building anticipation, guys.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I swear to God. By the time this episode airs, George should have at least released one video.
Promise. Not like the last two episodes where we said the same thing.
Right.
It's all good.
But he has actually been working on this. So
Listen, the heat in the UK is unthinkable. It's unheard
Absolutely
of.
unbearable.
It's inconceivable. So George has been dealing with that heat wave. So please forgive him. Be patient. But the Archlector will have it out for you shortly. Maybe. Kind of. Hopefully. All right. So let's get started with our first part of the chapter read through. We're going to break this up into 3 parts since it's a huge chapter. So the chapter starts off with Glocta's point of view as he's following Baez and company to the House of the Maker. Glocta still thinks that Baez is a charlatan, but there is a bit of a nagging thought that maybe, just maybe, he might be who he says he is.
Mhm.
But, his mind is just full of all these questions as they make their way to the university. Like, why did Baez choose Luthor? Why did Baez choose me? What the fuck is going on? He's so confused.
He's just got that complete investigator's mindset at all times, just 24/7. He notices the practicals watching them from the alleyways and roofs, and he's just like, "Yep, we're ready to get him." He's just this is like the bit in a heist film or a like a detective film or something where they're about to get the bad guy and everybody's ready and it's all gearing up, and then it just never happens.
It just hits the fan, right?
Yeah, and it's just wow.
If this was like a modern day detective show, Glocta would definitely be the grizzled vet that smokes 10 packs of cigarettes a day, and like has just a traumatized past, which is what he does.
Yeah, and you get like the noir music playing in the background every single time he thinks. He's like, this old bastard, he's gonna get caught at some point. He thinks he can get away with this.
Oh shit! Like a saxophone plays.
Yeah.
Smooth jazz playing in the background. Adua aid the city it used to be.
I'm an inquisitor, see?
Ever since the war, all I can see is depression.
And teeth everywhere.
And fucking stairs. I also like how Baez here is already just like talking to Giselle. Like Giselle's like, okay. He's like, oh, the city was so much smaller back whenever I was here last time. Giselle's like, why are you talking to me?
Right. I love this because at first Glocta, as they're making their way through the university, Glocta can tell that Baez is actually pretty familiar with the university, right? So that's something. Then the point of view switches over to Giselle, who, like you said, is on the receiving end of Baez's grandfatherly stories. Although these stories are a bit more violent than your usual ramblings from an old man. And I like how Giselle gets particularly affronted when Baez says that the original people of Mitterland were primitives. He's like, my ancestors couldn't be primitives. How dare the gall of this man.
Yeah, I love how Giselle just constantly, like, even it gets, you can see it progress later on, but like Giselle's view on how he sees the world and how he sees people is always like a little out of touch. Even later on.
Yeah. And also, so then our point of view switches again, this time to Logan's perspective. And from his view, they make their way to an older man who's just sitting in the courtyard.
I think that's Giselle's perspective.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let's cut that bit out. So it's when they're walking up to the university, it's Glockter's, and then in the university, it's Giselle's, and then outside the House of the Maker, it's. Oh no, you do meet the guard with him, but
it's Logan. It is
oh
Logan.
shit, yeah, shit. Sorry. Cut that bit out.
Nah, it's all good. Shit. Where am I now? Okay. So our point of view switches again, this time to Logan's perspective. And from his point of view, they make their way to an older gentleman who's chilling in the courtyard. And this guy is the chief warden, and apparently the only one in his company.
And Bias is quite miffed about this.
Yeah.
It was just like this grand ostentation. Like, there used to be like 50 of the best men.
Yeah. He's like, this irks him, He's like, what the fuck? This is supposed to be like a high honor. 50, the bravest men. Like he said, it was like, what the fuck? And then guy's just like, I don't know. This has been, when I was younger, it was 9 of us. Now it's just me. And I don't know who's going to take over from me after I'm dead. He's like, what the fuck? And it's like you said, who just did Baez's impersonation? Like, I am Baez.
I did.
Do it again, because he just was like, all right.
He's like, okay, yeah. He's like, okay, we can still have the ceremony. I am Baez, first of the Magi. He does his little intro speech. This is always hilarious.
Yeah. And then the guy's like, you sure? He's like, yes. I mean, some other guy tried to enter the house years ago, and they came back in 5 minutes, and they looked like they all had seen ghosts. So,
yeah.
And then Giselle's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, whenever he first comes up to him too, like Baez is like, "Are you the warden?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm eating breakfast." And he's like, "My wife's making breakfast." And then he's all like, "It's eggs." And like Baez is like, "Okay, like what the fuck, bro?" And Baez is like, "Eggs."
Yeah, he's expected this enormous guard force, and he's got to, prove that he's Baez and get across the bridge, and it's just one fucking dude sitting on a chair.
Yeah, he's all patting his belly and shit. Also, I do really like this note whenever it's still in Giselle's point of view, and how, in a lore aspect, and how Baez says he fought the Maker's servants. It's interesting he says fought, saying as we know what Baez can do. It makes you wonder what kind of equipment his servants had, being students of Canadius, if they had some kind of like, advanced weaponry. They had like fucking pistols and shit. I don't know. Something that would put them on par with the Magi. Obviously the Magi beat them. It's just cool to think about what kind of interesting devices. Maybe they had armor on, or some kind of anti-magic or anti-high art material. I don't know. Just very
that would be incredible
to think about.
That would have been, if Joe can write a little prequel short story of that little episode, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, them storming the house.
It's just a techno monster.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. He says fought them, not like crushed them, or this is where we the servants fled in terror or whatever. No, he fought them. I just thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very interesting. Nice. Going back to the story that the warden told about some dude that went to try to enter the House of the Maker. Giselle is a little bit disturbed at that story. He's like, what happened to them? He's like, I don't know.
Just getting scared.
Yeah, but Baez he's impatient. He's like, fuck this, we're going. So they cross the courtyard, they go up some stairs, and then finally they get to a gate. So then the guy opens the gate and he's like, welcome to the Maker's Breath. Woo! Which is like, I guess, like this foreboding like feeling, right? It's this like all-encompassing wind or something, just like a sense of unease. So they start going over a bridge, right? And they're not feeling good. Like this perspective goes back to Glockta this time, and they're not feeling good. And the bridge has no rails, no safety features at all. They said it's as wide as a man laying down. And
it's like a cat bridge, I think they call it.
Yeah, and Glockta was like, he noted that Giselle and Logan were like looking very disturbed by this bridge, and so can you imagine Glocta's worries compounded by the fact that he has one functioning leg basically.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
if he slips, he's toast.
Hmm. And then as they get closer to the house, the size of the house of the maker becomes much more
Intense.
intense. Yeah, that's a good word to say. Yeah. I mean, Glock is worried about falling off the bridge. He's just worried about the size of the house, the whole situation at hand. He knows that the practicals are watching, like you said, George, but they wouldn't be able to do anything if Glock falls or something. Like they have to wait for them to come back in order to like get arrested. So everyone in the group is feeling this whole, like we said, this overwhelming sense of fear, something innate. And the closer they get to the house, the worse they feel, except for Baez, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the maker's servants if they had to live with that all the time. Bloody hell.
Well, I imagine. Don't you think maybe that the maker might have imbued them with some kind of antidote or something?
Maybe, but it does seem like a bit of a pragmatist,
Yeah, he's probably like, fuck it.
Just get on with it.
Yeah, just deal with it.
Well, here's the thing, right? Is that it says, speculate a little bit here. It says, Glock just feels like an animalistic sense of fear. And, it's fear is something that can be overcome, but these guys are just got here and they're already intimidated about the house. They don't know where the fuck they're going. They don't know why Baez isn't affected. It's all around a weird situation. Baez has been here before. He lived here before. He says, can you feel it? I think he feels it too, but he knows what he's dealing with at that point. And so, because he's been here many, many times, I don't think it's even like a magical thing. I think it's like obviously it's a magical thing. I don't think Baez has some kind of magical shield or something like that. I think that he is just he's been used to that feeling.
Okay.
Or it might have something to do with the fact that he's a magus and he's just more magically in tuned.
Mm-hmm. Or it could be the fact that Baez has absolutely no regrets and fears nothing.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Never know. It could be all of them combined.
It could be. They make it to the door of the house, right? And there are apparently 2 circles engraved in the door. One large, one small, and the circles are comprised of letters that they're in a language that's unfamiliar to the group, except of course for Baez. They all end up basically puking, while Baez lovingly caresses the door.
And yeah, it's a bit creepy, isn't it? It's just like, everybody stood there and they're waiting to get in, and Baez is just like, look at it, it's beautiful.
Yeah, but don't forget, they're on their knees. They're on their knees like yakking.
Yeah. Baez is just like, now that is craftsmanship.
Yeah, right. And he makes a comment about the quality of the maker's works compared to Juven's, as to how the maker's works have lasted, whereas all of Juven's, achievements lie in ruins, which is like, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting to think about how Canadius works, and this isn't the last we see of it. It lasts for so long, like they're not even touched by time.
Nope.
They're
impervious.
Yeah, and you look at the Great Northern Library and other libraries that we might see in the future, and they're all run down because they were built by Juvens. Yes, they have magic around them, but they're just stone. Whereas this is like something different. And as a note here before we move on too far, is that the wards around the door is 11 wards and 11 wards reversed.
Which is a fantastic sort of, it's just vague enough so that you don't really know what it means, and then just it tickles your imagination, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool to think about like this thing. It's like a big lock. It's like a big you know what a ward is, so a ward is supposed to protect you from magic or whatever, protect things. And so to say 11 wards, you're like, oh, that's a lot of wards. And 11 wards reversed, it makes it sound even more like, whoa.
And then doesn't he say 11 times 11 as well? Like it's like a lot of wards apparently. Hold on.
Yeah, he does. I think he does say that.
Yeah. 11 wards and 11 wards reversed. He traced the circle's smaller characters and 11 times 11. And his finger followed the fine line outside of them. Oh, so that might be another circle then.
Yeah, there are multiple circles going in and around. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, he says, who can say how many hundreds here? Truly, a most potent enchantment.
Just and for anybody that doesn't keep count, that's 143 wards total.
Holy shit, bro!
Jesus
That's a lot of
Christ,
wards.
That's a lot of wards.
That is a lot of wards.
And then they're all reversed.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
The only time we always see whenever things are written down in the first law for magic, it's extremely potent. It's not very often we get to see it, but it won't be the last time we see this 11 wards reversed. And the other kind of writing we've seen is the writing on the Great Northern Library that we've discussed previously, and how it basically, if you're looking to harm the people or harm the library, you're never going to find it. That's incredibly powerful. And if you are, there's another character who has writing all over his body, and we haven't seen him in action yet, but by God.
Well, we have seen him
in action.
Oh, in action? No.
But we know that the runes on Fenris, the feared, they sort of they protect him from damage. And I find it quite interesting that there's like sort of this other element of magic that it's more permanent, like you said, Jeff. So once it's down and it's written, then it can't be reversed. Whereas like all of the Magi's magic, it's very, it's process based. It's in the moment.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think Harrison said that about being written down.
Right? Oh yeah, of course. No, but you mentioned. I think you mentioned it before, but.
Oh, right. But Harrison, you were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I agree with you guys. Yeah, it's just interesting to think about the different aspects of the magic, because he says there are 3 types of magic, as we've talked about before. Spirits and the works of Canadius and his. And high art is what Bias says, but there's some other mysterious elements going on, like the long eye or the runes, and it's, I don't know, I just really like those little mysteries that are scattered about.
Yeah, it always, how I read to me before when they talked about Juven's being the one with the high art, I was like, but I mean, come on, no one's making materials like that without some magic involved in there,
And I do like that. Like throughout the whole series, we get descriptions and things that spoilers, but can be used by like that Canadius made, but we never get any kind of solid description on how any of this works.
Right. That's true. We get
because obviously the only person that has, or the only people that have knowledge of this is Baez, and Baez keeps his cards very close to his chest.
Well, yeah. The works of the Master Maker are carried on by very few, and remember, even Canadius didn't let other people share it. Like the only reason that other people know how to use high art is because Juven's purposely shared his knowledge with the intention of having apprentices and such. That's the only reason high art's even like I don't want to say a common thing. It's still rare, but like a thing that's known. Whereas Canadius kept all of the knowledge to himself and a few others. But even then, it's not even as potent as how much he knew.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways.
Anyway. Well, they're outside the door, and they're still puking. So Baez, he reaches into his little cloak or whatever. He grabs his key, and he inserts it into the door. Even Glockta's like, there's no hole, but okay. And there's a singular click. And then Glockta turns around. He's like, oh, thank God it didn't open. And he's like, he turns around. He's about to signal the practicals, I guess, to beat their asses. And then there are more clicks. And then he's like, what? And then next thing he knows, the door opens smoothly. Apparently, this group is the first to enter since Baez sealed the house all those years ago. And they enter. So that's the first part of our chapter read-through. Any notes, since we're going to save the ratings till the end?
No, I think we're good.
I did like.
I do like how. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I like how Baez just basically like stands in front of the door to the house of the Maker. We did say this earlier, but and everyone's just obviously uncomfortable, and he's just like relishing the moment because, with the confrontation in the previous episode with Archlector, and then before that with Glockta as well, he's just really reveling in this moment where he wins. He's beaten them. Like I actually can do it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I enjoyed the little Lord of the Ring reference too,
You shall not pass. Yeah.
None shall pass. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah.
I wonder how fast things went downhill with the Warden's company. Like after Baez left the Union to his own devices, he went to just read in the library for all those years. Like how fast did the 50 people that were supposed to guard the gate to the House of the Maker just crap out? I'm thinking
it's interesting, isn't it? Because there aren't really any credible threats to the House of the Maker.
Right.
Like nobody can really get up there.
No.
But anybody that would be able to get up there, like Baez or maybe even some Eaters or something, even 50 guys, even the bravest 50 guys in the King's Own aren't really going to stand a chance.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
and the,
if you go ahead.
I was just gonna agree and say that Baez was there about a couple hundred years ago during King Casimir as Lord Zoller, and he seems to have not been surprised then, as far as we know. Otherwise, he would have mentioned that.
Right, and Beelzebub. Remember, he was him too. So he would have noticed then. So he was gone for what, 200 years, or was it?
More than 200 years.
More than 200 years. Okay, all right. Well, but this is why you got to keep on top of things. You got to be a micromanager, Baez. Jesus.
I can imagine though, like someone who's born and comes into power, like maybe 100 years after Baez disappears, and they're just like, what if we got the 50 best guys all stood around the House of the Maker for no reason? Like that, how much it costs to outfit and pay 50 dudes?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they're the bravest. We need to put them somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also
just
funny.
This one guy will do.
Just the one guy. I think it's a volunteer position, right? So the education in the Union, as the Adeptus Historical has pointed out, is it's kind of shitty. And so maybe that's part of it. Is that in recent years it's been less so about learning and going. The university was also in its peak probably around the time that 200 years ago, whenever he was Archlector, whenever Baez was Archlector. Mm-hmm. So they seem to all been failing since that time, education wise, and maybe that's part of the reason, because you have to volunteer for the position. Because the guy says he joined when he was like a young guy, was conscripted. So, and I do think it's funny. It's almost like a play off of the wall inside of the Game of Thrones. How even though there's not as many men on the Night's Watch, they're like honorable and they're protecting it from the from the wildlings and from the White Walkers and everything. And there's just one guy who likes eggs.
eggs.
I like eggs. Thank you.
And I like how he just lives there with his wife as well.
Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah.
The door opening is really cool as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just imagining it, I would love to see that one day. It'd be so cool on the screen. Just to see it all unwinding.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see that. I like also how Glocta doesn't trust or obviously like the group at all, but he's intrigued by Logan because he's like, this guy is a fucking enigma, and what is his purpose? Like he even asks himself, like, maybe Baez works for Logan. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
He was just so confused by like, what the fuck is Logan's purpose? And my last note is, I just love how out of his depth Giselle is. He's just so confused. So why
what am I doing here?
Literally 2 days ago, this man won the finals in the contest, and now he's entering the House of the Maker with some old dude who's just blathering on. He's confused. He's so confused. Oh man, it's great. It's already a great start to a chapter.
Well, that's just Giselle for the whole book, isn't it? Like, it's just, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why aren't I getting drunk?
Any other notes on your end, guys, for this part?
No.
Okay. All right. So now we just move on to our next segment, which is the best meme of the week. Want to take this over?
Yeah, and we have user Faithful Carrot 34 on Reddit to thank for this meme, and it's part of the House of the Meme Makers memeing every chapter, which continues to be absolutely fantastic, and they haven't missed a day in 41 chapters, so congrats to those guys.
Well, except for that one that I did.
Except that one that you did that you missed. You fucking letting the team down, man.
Well, I missed one too.
You motherfucker! Yeah, fuck you, Jeff.
I was punctual with the first chapter I signed up for, but then the last one, which was actually this chapter, House of the Maker, I completely just shit the bed. So sorry.
And I'm not going to describe this one because it describes the chapter that we haven't done yet. So, but yeah, give that one a look. We're going to put it in the description in all the platforms. So, thank you very much, user Faithful Carrot 34.
Faithful Carrot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good name.
That's a great name.
Fantastic name.
All right. So now we return to our second read through of the chapter, House of the Maker. And we come to Giselle's point of view, and he isn't feeling too good as they start to make their way through the House of the Maker, is he? He's
Not well at all.
He's not well. It looks like the nausea only occurred once they got close to the door. Once they got past the door, it seems like they're not affected in terms of being sick anymore. But again, that sense of foreboding, that weird fear, that it's just a wave of not pleasant feelings.
And I love the description of picking up a cup of water and thinking it's going to be water and finding piss instead. Like you could just, everyone could imagine what that feels like. It's like, oh yeah, that does feel pretty fucking horrible.
Joe's so good at those lines, man.
Yeah.
And I love how this right here is a callback to what we just said, where he could not understand why he had to be here. Like he knows very little bit about history. He knows these names, Canadius, Juvens, Baez. It's very on a surface level that he's familiar with. And they enter the House of the Maker, and Giselle is just dumbfounded. He's just dumbstruck by like how big it is. It's how huge it is from the inside too. He's like, this shit, he could fit the entire Agrion, I think he says. Or the Lord's Round itself could have fit comfortably inside the entire building with room to spare. So yeah.
I like to think that this is sort of like a TARDIS. Like the outside view of the House of the Maker is just completely different from how it is on the inside.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough. I have started watching Doctor Who with my girlfriend a few weeks ago. So
oh, thank God! I thought that was a bit of an obscure reference, but Doctor Who isn't that obscure, is it?
No, widely known.
Okay, not obscure at all. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, George. You haven't lost your nerd card. All right, you're still one of us.
I'm still trying to make sure I'm like approved for the nerd card. So they're walking,
processing.
Still processing. Oh god damn it! These damn agencies. The up above the center of this giant, like you could say, lobby. There's a.
I don't know where that works. That's a good point, but.
So basically, a
fucking
lobby.
you go in the heyday. You go in there. There's like a fucking gyroscope in the sky. There's a huge map on the floor, and there's a fucking receptionist. She's like, "Hi, welcome to the House of the Maker. How can I direct you?"
What's the reason for your visit today?
I'm sorry, Mr. Canadius is booked up today.
Oh, so I can't kill him today? Oh, I have to come back another. Okay.
But his daughter is free for a.
His daughter's here. Daughter's free for
shit.
working. Oh yeah.
No!
Oh.
So there's a giant thing like suspended in the air, right? Like would you call it a gyroscope?
Yeah, it's like I don't know, a gyroscope.
I don't fucking know. Like
not a kaleidoscope, a gyroscope.
It's
From
giant.
the way it's described, it sounds more like an astrological model. So like a solar system, I imagine.
There you go. That makes sense. I like that.
Oh, isn't that interesting, right? None of these guys have looked into like the sky. Like that's not a thing that people do inside the first law. And like Canadius did though, and so he knows what the stars are like. But they're all like, "What is this thing?" But he knows, Canadius knows. Oh, this is the other planets. That's cool, Dot.
I like that. And there's a large black ball that hangs in the center. And Baez is already walking out, and they like you just mentioned it too, that the floor is basically a giant map of Midderland. Actually, it's the whole circle of the world. Name drop for the podcast. And he points out Angland, Starrickland, the North, Gurkle, Old Empire, all that jazz. And the Logan is like the edge of the world, and he's just like, wow. And then Glockta's just like, this motherfucker is arrogant to think that his home is the center of everything. And then Baez is like, yeah, well, they were all arrogant, the Maker and his brothers.
And it's quite interesting to think how this is how most people would have thought of the world. Before you have like aerial views of things, before what that the planet is a sphere. Although I'm sure they have figured that out at this point, even if it is a sphere. I do like to think that the world here is literally just it's a big flat world and it's just circular. So it's literally the circle of the world,
So the flat earthers get their moment to shine from this book. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there's something here for everyone.
Yeah. Just get ready for our next theory video. Is the circle of the world, the flat Earth?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. George with the tinfoil, constantly loving it. So he realized that the strange device that's hanging is moving. It's like spinning, revolving, and he doesn't know how it could be moving because it seems to be self-operated. What else?
Well, it's like one of those things that indefinitely move once you get it going.
Like a perpetual motion machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is something it's like, of course, is absolute magic for anybody. Like even 100 years ago, you're like, what the fuck? How does that happen?
I mean, it is still magic because it's impossible, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
It is true.
And then Giselle's he's getting very dizzy by the movement of that, and then like everything's moving, the floor, like it's spinning, at least in his eyes.
Oh, it's just a horrific feeling. Like you don't know what's turning. That must be so disorientating. And I'm trying to think, what is the purpose of this? What's the purpose of just having everything turning like a fucking helter-skelter all the time?
Well, here's the thing. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna suggest that maybe because since Baez is the only one that I guess we could say is imbued with the magical properties, that for anybody else that doesn't like have high art or any kind of magic, that just the House of the Maker is almost imperceptible to you.
It's sort of like sorry, go ahead, Harrison.
No, go ahead, George. You're gonna.
I'm thinking like this is sort of like I don't know if you guys have read any H.P. Lovecraft, but when they go to Relay in Call of Cthulhu, it's sort of described this sort of same way, that it's sort of imperceptible, like you said. You can't really understand what you're looking at, so it all just looks a bit funny.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that is quite interesting, a parallel, so to speak.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I like that idea, and it probably is part of it. But I will say that we know, as I think he says it here in just a bit, that this place used to be bustling with people, like all of the Maker's servants and his students and things like that. They all used to run around in the House of the Maker, and surely not all of them were magically imbued, I guess is the word you used. And it's and I wonder if it has to do with the fact that you kind of just get used to the way it is. Canadius built it for himself, but he also eventually had people living in there with him. But he either taught them tricks on how to move around, or maybe they just learned it on their own. You got used to the disorientation. You got used to the door of fear. You got used to, oh yes, if I wait for this doorway to pass, that's the second one is the one I go into. And plus, if you got lost 100 years ago, or 500 years ago in this case, then it wouldn't be a big deal because there'd be other people in those other rooms to tell you, oh, you went the wrong way, mate. Go back.
The House of the Maker employs tour guides back in its heyday.
Yeah, with the exceptions.
And I like to think of the kind of wonders that you'd find if you just wandered off and had a look around.
Wonders or horrors?
Oh, horrors, yeah. It's like,
you
imagine 100 years ago, oh, you're looking for the biological experimentation lab. Oh, no, this is the bottomless pit. Sorry, you got to go back down that way.
Yeah, it's like an evil lair. Yeah. I like to think that the rock itself is from the other side, and that's why it's untouchable, and that everything he makes is from the other side. Except it's been with his art, with his magic, he's able to keep it to where it's not going to explode. He uses wards and uses magic. So in this room is as close as you can get to the other side safely, is inside of the House of the Maker, because it's all around you. And so it's like you guys said, it's also just hard to comprehend.
I like
it. I like that. The other side made flesh.
And so Giselle's confused, right? And then Baez is like, not that way. And he's like, oh shit,
Oh, that
sorry, my
way,
bad.
that
My
way,
bad.
that way.
And like you said, it's echoing. And then we switch over point of views to Logan, and Logan is not a fan of this place at all either. He's just like, fuck this place. This place sucks. And he keeps thinking like he's being watched, but it's only just Luthor and Glokta. There's nobody else. And they're all just worried and confused. I can only imagine their faces, just like, what the fuck? And then Baez is talking about how they chased him through these halls, all 11 of them, except all the Magi together for the last time, all but Kalul. Zacharias and Cornel, they fought the Maker there, and he's just naming Magi. 2 of them died. It looks like.
I like that we get with some more information on the Magi here. We get Zacharias, Kalul, Cornel, Anseli, and Broken Tooth. Who
Well,
I like to think was from the north.
Yeah, I think so too. There's no way he wasn't, right?
And Broken Tooth is definitely from the north. Mm-hmm. And they talked about. They kept going through the house. There's a black pit that Glock is like, I think there should be water down there, surely, right? There's what the fuck? And he's like, where's the ceiling? And then everyone's just complaining. Everyone's just complaining. Like Luthor's like, this place stinks. And then Logan's like, yep, it smells like fucking flatheads. Shanka. Well, actually, Harrison, that's your cue.
Fucking flatheads.
There you go.
Yeah, it's I do like here, like you guys are talking about, all the characters have their own things that they're doing. It is so perfect for each of their characters. Baez is just like what's the word?
Expositing.
Expositing, thank you. And Logan is like, I don't understand this. Help me, dear God. And I was like, why am I here? Like, this isn't where I belong. And Glock
This place smells.
Yeah. And then Glock's is the only one who is actually like, wait a minute. This is fucking weird. Like, are we thinking about this? Are we thinking about where we're going? There's no water. There's no rails. What? Why aren't you asking questions?
He's probably like, this is all a trick some way, somehow. He's still lying. And then we get a little tidbit about the Shanka because Baez tells us and tells Logan that Canadius created them. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know if we mentioned that in an earlier episode. I feel like we did, but I'm not so sure.
We did a little bit, but
we did.
I find it interesting that like you were saying, like he took clay and metal and leftover flesh. But so far from what we've seen of the Shanka, they just seem to be just flesh. So I don't know, maybe he's like clay for the bones or something.
Well, I know they're gray in color, and I know that there's a lot of variety, right, in terms of like how they look, just like the misshapenness of them.
I'll tell you what, you guys, audience members, go watch the my lore video on the Shanka, and you can go find out more there.
Absolutely.
All right. So nice little shameless plug there. Love that. And then so Canadians created them to fight in the war against the Magi, against Juvens. He bred the first Shanka, and then the only purpose was just to breed and destroy. And they tried to hunt them after Canadius's death, but they couldn't catch them all. They're not Ash Ketchum, and
they're not Pokemon.
They're not Pokemon. And so they were in the darkest corners of the world. And then Logan's just staring at Baez like, what the fuck? And then Luthor is like, Shanko. And then Logan's like, is there something funny here? And then he's like, well, I mean, like, everyone knows like, there's no such thing as Shanka. And then Logan snaps. He's like, you motherfucker. They killed my wife, my children, my friends. He's like, the North is swarming with them. And then Luthor is just like, what the fuck? And he's looking at Glokta for support. But Glokta's just like, I don't give a fuck. I am suffering right now.
He's like trying to hobble along. He's like, can we just fucking move?
Oh, and then we switch point of views again to Glokta. And they're just going through another hall, an enormous one. And he's just like, oh, maybe I can understand if I can just like stop for a second and look, but I just don't get it. And Luthor and Glocta and Logan, again, they're not feeling good. And then Glocta asks him some questions. Though he asks Baez, like, where does the light come from? And Baez is just like, above. He's like, and he goes, are there windows? He's like, maybe. What the fuck? He's like, is there nothing but hallway? What's the point of it? And then Baez is like, who can know the maker's mind or fathom his great design? He's like, this motherfucker's not giving him any answers. No straight answers. And then here's where the part I think, Harrison, you mentioned that a long time ago that there was plenty of people, hundreds of people lived here in happier times. You know, they served Canadius and they helped him in his works. And so eventually near the end, only 3 people lived there. Canadius himself, his assistant Jeremias, and his daughter Ptolemy. And the maker's daughter. And then he asked
what
him, he's like, maker's daughter? He's like, what of it? He's like, nothing, no. He's like, And then he goes, when did you live here? And then Baez is like, there is such thing as too many questions. And then he's like, and then Glocta watched him walk away. And this is it. He was like, Salt was wrong. Yeah, he underestimated this Baez and it cost him. Like, who could this guy be? And it's like, the answer is not so strange. The first of the Magi. And here we'll leave off. What do you guys think about this so far of this section of the chapter?
I think it's just a fantastic. We get so much exposition. We get so much character work all crammed into this tiny thing. And it's just such an alien sort of environment. And it's just such a good chapter. Yeah,
we're just as confused as everybody except for Baez. Right? Especially for a first-time reader.
George, what are your thoughts on like whenever Glocta basically accepts the fact that, you know, Baez is who he says he is?
I think it is quite interesting because obviously this I've said before, like he's been faced with incontrovertible evidence that Baez is who he says he is, but he's just gone no, and just looked every other way, and it takes this much for him to actually go shit, yeah. Like, this is actually real. This isn't just some facade.
Yeah, it's indisputable at this point.
But he still doesn't know really how to deal with it.
Yeah. He still kind of like pretends. He's like, okay, well.
Yeah, because it's like a huge paradigm shift, you know, for like his belief system or like how he thinks the world works.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, so it's gonna be. Go ahead.
It would be going back to what you said a few episodes ago that Baez is like Jesus Christ. It would be like you met actual Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, he's real?
I have a lot of sins to account for. Do I explain? Like, I don't know. He's like, you know, some people probably end up trying to kill Jesus just to be like, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with being judged. Oh shit, he's actually here. Let's kill him. That's
or to play to your noir effect too. It's like, this is the moment he's like, it just occurred to me, however, that Baez could in fact be the first of the Magi.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Anything else about this section, guys?
No, I think we covered it good.
Okay, sweet. So let's move on to our character spot. Who wants to take this one?
I got it.
Yeah, okay. Hit us.
Did we even get his name, guys?
His name is
the Chief.
His name is Chief Warden Eggs.
Chief Warden Eggs.
Yes, our character spot today is Chief Warden. I like eggs. Yes. And he really is something special. It's just supposed to be this honorary post, and I just love this line. For breakfast, I like eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what?
And like this completely incompetent old man. He just doesn't know what he's doing. He's been sat on this chair for 50 years. Just like, this is a pretty sweet job.
And honestly, like, he is probably like one of the most like upstanding, happy motherfuckers out there. Like, in the entire first law, he's just so giddy.
Yeah, and I know, like, we know for a fact. Well, I don't know if he's like he doesn't know anything. I mean, he knows enough to be like, yeah, you don't want to go towards the Maker's breath. Like,
Here's the thing, right? Is that he actually, he knows all the right stuff to say. He knows the process. That he does know how to do his duty. It's a chill duty. Like, why would you need to do it? No one ever does. It's only happened twice. But I do like how, even though he's not lazy, well, you could say he's lazy, right? But it's less so that he just doesn't have anything to do. He knows what to do. He just he never gets to do his job. So,
and let's be serious. Like, you wouldn't take it that seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were just going to be stood there for the next 20 years, like, okay.
You're like, well, I'm just gonna chill here.
I'd be excited for eggs as well.
Yeah, eggs are delicious.
Think about this. This is his life, right? He lives up there. He, maybe every now and then he recites his words. That way, just in case somebody comes up, he knows what to do. This is only, he takes a little bit of pride in his job. And every night you get to go home, fuck your wife. In the morning, she makes you eggs. I mean, that's the life right there. He's got a good life.
He's probably the most well-off person in the union.
Yeah, he's also considered honorary. So if he does go to an event, they're like, "Oh, that guy, he protects the house of the Maker.
He's the only one left. He's the only one left."
Yeah, and he probably tells stories too. He's like, "Yeah, they were all killed by an eater. My brother's in arms." Oh, it's wonderful. I love this character.
Yeah, he's a great character.
And I'd like to point out this is the second time that we've made a character spot of our like an unnamed gatesman.
Yeah, the first one was Malika what?
yeah, Chief Warden Malika what? Yeah,
Chief Warden Malika what?
For
say one thing for Joe. Say he knows how to write gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Die, is it? Ill, you say. Love it. So we're back to the chapter now, to our chapter read through, and we're looking at things from Logan's perspective now. And Baez is like, "This is it." I guess they're in a room, or they're, excuse me, they're like in a hallway. But he takes out the key again, and he's like, "You guys might want to prepare yourselves." And it's like, "For what?" And then he just puts the key into a hole that doesn't exist, apparently. And one of the blocks that made up the walls just suddenly vanished. It just went right up to the ceiling with a crash. So everyone was like, "What the fuck?"
That'd be so scary, man.
Yeah. So it's like basically going to a room. So Baez goes into this room. He's like, "Don't touch anything. Don't go anywhere." And then
I love how Logan just goes straight away. Oh, maybe he didn't mean me.
He's like, maybe he meant for them to say, "Hey, fuck that." He just went in there, and
it's like that awkward moment when you're at a party and your mate who you came with and you don't know anyone, and they just like fuck off, and you're just like, do I just stand here now, or do I follow you? I don't know.
And it's like a round chamber that they're in, and it's pretty bright, and the walls were like white stone. So this is different than what we're used to so far in the House of the Maker, right? Mm-hmm. It's pristine. Is perfectly like curved. There's no shoddy architecture here. And what does it say? It says that there's like a narrow bridge that comes out from the passage with the steps leading upwards, ending at a tall white pillar rising from the water. Oh, because there's water in this somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Logan crept up behind the Megas. Like, why would you creep up behind someone that can explode you? Don't do that. And there are two things that were laying in a thin layer of water. It was a square box, and the other was something stranger, which is like a weapon, right? Harrison, do you want to take over explaining this weapon or describing it?
Yeah, it says this weapon is kind of like an axe, and it's a long shaft made with tiny metal tubes all twisted about each other like the stems of old vines. And at one end there is a scored grip, and on the other there's a flat piece of metal pierced with a bunch of small holes, like a cheese grate. Like a cheese grater. That's always what I think about the end being.
I was just going to say, Logan doesn't actually think it's a cheese grater.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because it says like a beautiful thing. It's like the thing I always think about too is like whenever it's like a weapon of some sort, and it's almost like an alien. It's like if you saw like a ray gun sitting on a table. You're like, holy crap, what is that? I want to touch it. So Logan like goes to touch down on it, and Bias is like, bro, what are you doing? And he's like, what is it? And he's like, it's a weapon. And he basically says that Canadians built it and then used it to kill Juvens. And that one side is here, well, within the circle of the world, and the other side is in the other side. And that would make sense, right? You pull pure magic and energy from the other side through the tube where it's contained, like what Canadius is able to do, and shoots it out the other end, which is a really cool thought to think about. And apparently it's extremely powerful. If it killed somebody like Juvens, who was basically a demigod and was basically more powerful than Baez, probably by about 10 times the amount, maybe. It's pretty cool to think about, that he doesn't just make architecture and weird rooms. He also makes weapons. And it has the same marking that his own sword does, the mark of Canadius.
Yeah, it does.
It is an interesting thought, and I do love this whole break from what we've had so far. So far we've had quite a mundane world, very grimdark, as they like to call it. Just your typical city streets, dark dungeons and big throne rooms and things like that. And suddenly it's just this big empty room that's covered in water and just a big pillar with a great fucking weapon on it. And everyone's just like, what the fuck? It's just fantastic imagery. It's great.
So that's the divider, and the other item is a metal box, and
yeah.
Logan went to help pick it up, and it's heavy. He said it could have hardly weighed more if it was a block of solid iron, and apparently Canadians forged it to be strong to keep the world safe from its contents. And what's in it? Nothing yet. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Nice bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, I know. And then we switch point of views over to Giselle, who comes to terms with the fact that he doesn't hate Brent because he's just a puffed up idiot. And Gorst, he doesn't hate Gorst because Gorst apparently tried his meager best to beat him. What a cunt. And Veru's pompous old ass. No. Who he hates are the three men he's with in this goddamn house, this building, the house of the maker. He hates Glokta, obviously. He hates Baez and Logan. He's like, he's had enough of this. He's had enough. He wants to go home. And then they're all like,
and I love how he just, like, despite the fact that Giselle has just seen all these beautiful, like, wonderful things that probably nobody else has seen before, he immediately just goes back to thinking about himself.
And he's not appreciating anything. He's not even like taking time to consider where he's at. They're walking through the hallway. They see, it seems like a glimmer of light. So they run. Glokta, Luthor runs towards it, and Glokta's behind him, and it turns out to be a balcony. And or a parapet, and they could see the Agrion, they could see everything, and it's just like, oh man, it's amazing. And then Glokta looks worried, and Giselle's like, huh, what are you, scared of heights? And then Glokta's like, fucking idiot, there were no steps, we didn't climb any steps, how did we get up here? And then Giselle's like, uh-oh.
He did not think about that at all.
He didn't think about that at all. He's just like,
That's
a terrifying thought.
Yeah, like, how the fuck did you get up there without climbing any steps?
There wasn't even an incline.
Nothing. Like, Glokta would have felt that. He would have noticed. This man he's the sworn enemy of steps or incline.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Like, he hates stairs, so it makes sense that he's the one that notices.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this whole, like, whenever they get up here, for me, is just the sheer scale of it. This is like an airplane point of view. Like, they are thousands of feet in the air, because they're saying that, yeah, they can see the square of marshals and it looks like a small wooden bowl, and that, the city, everything looks still, and that it's all just a gray mass, the city down below them. That, I think sometimes people forget the actual scale of the House of the Maker. It is fucking insanely tall. Like, that's crazy. No wonder whenever fucking Canadius fell down, he was toast. Like, goddamn. he hit terminal velocity.
And he was on fire. And he was on fire. And we cut back to Logan's perspective real quick, just to get some exposition from Baez, where he talks about, like, it was here that he fought Canadius, fire, steel, flesh, all that jazz. And he threw Ptolemy from the roof right before his very eyes. Like, how could you? Who deserved that less than her? Never. Such an innocent spirit. And
I know. It's almost like whenever somebody's like talking about a story because it's traumatic, or talking about a story because they're trying to talk to themselves, actually.
And he talks about how he cast him down, and the last of the sons of Use have passed from the world, with all their secrets lost forever.
Sorry, did you just say use?
No, he said Ews.
Isn't Eus or Eus?
It's Eus.
It's Eus?
Eus.
Eus.
Yeah, man.
All right, okay.
Get it right, man.
Literally,
Fight.
This is the only time I'm reading the goddamn audiobook. It's the first time. You cut me a break.
I'm just busting your balls.
At least I can spell everyone's names correctly. All right.
And for the listeners, it's because every time I spell Jeff's name in the group chat, I spell it wrong on purpose, and it pisses him off.
I started it. It's my bad. Now George can't get enough.
It's never ending. It's all right. So he tells okay, well, it's all in the past anyway. So what can we do, right? So just seal it up and let's get out of here. And then Logan's like, my father used to say the seeds of the past bear fruit in the present. And then Baez is like, your father's wise. Anyway, let's go. And then
I do like the word in there, the seeds of the past.
Nice.
There is this
nice product placement there.
This whole little line here, right? This whole little small paragraph, especially those last two sentences, are like, for me, so fucking good on so many levels that we can't even express it in this episode yet. Because, like you said, there's a play on words. There is the actual foreshadowing itself. I love the fact that Baez, this isn't even a big spoiler, but Baez uses this line on other people in the future, and he uses it himself. Like, I like that Baez, despite all of his, I've been around, I'm so wise, I'm so powerful, he still learns, and he still is like, that's a good phrase. I don't know. I just really like that whole little that little paragraph there is done really, really well.
It was.
That's a fantastic point, Harrison. I never even realized that.
I didn't think about that. Look at the depth is historical. Bringing the heat. Love it.
Pop, pop, pop.
Pop, pop, pop. So then our chapter perspective switches over again to Glock, and he is in a rush. They're heading back out. They're crossing the lobby, and they see the open door, and they're like, "Fuck this!" They're good. They're going. They're booking it. Luthor is already halfway across the bridge. All right, Nine Fingers.
Luthor.
You're not my man today. And then, Nine Fingers is like, because he's carrying the bridge, the box over the bridge, and he's muttering "still alive" in Northern to himself. And so Glock, he gets out, and then Baez, he just strolls out of the tunnel and into open air looking smug as ever. It's like, so Inquisitor, how did you find your trip into the House of the Maker? And then he was just like a fucking nightmare, but he's like, something to do in the morning, I guess. And then Baez is like, do you still believe that I'm a liar, or have your suspicions finally been laid to rest? And then he's like, honestly, doesn't even know. He honestly does not know what to believe. And then Bias is like, good. Knowing your ignorance is the first step to enlightenment, which is such a pompous.
It is, but it's honestly the truth.
It is.
It is.
It is the truth, but just Bias means it in a very pompous way. You just know it. Come on.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So he's like, you better start across, huh? While I lock up, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time Glockta gets across the bridge safely, Luthor is hammering on the old gate. He's like, let us in, please. Let us in. He's just fucking losing his mind. And he looks like he's about to burst into tears. And then the warden is like shocked. He opens the door. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, back so soon? And then Glockta's like, what are you talking about? And the guy's like, I'm only halfway through my eggs. He's like, he's like, you've been gone for less than half an hour.
That's his time scale, is egg time. How fast does it take him to get through eggs? Also, how many eggs is this old man eating? Jesus Christ, it's been half an hour? Oh my God.
Less than half an hour. So he's like, yeah, more like half a day. But then he looks and the sun was like, didn't move. So he's like, what the fuck? And then apparently Bias has said like the maker told him that time is all in the mind. And it's like, it's when you come out before you went in that you really start to worry, which, what the fuck does that make sense? Like
that's incredible. What the hell?
Yeah. And then Glockta's like, oh, enough with the riddles. Just tell me what you're after. And Bias for the first time grinned, like not for the first time, but he grinned like really wide. He's like, you know what? I like you. I like you a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the only honest man left in this whole damn country. So we should have a talk at some point, you and I, about what he wants and what Glockta wants. But not today. And then he just walks and leaves him in the lurch. And that is where we end the chapter, The House of the Maker. Yay.
Wow.
Yay.
Yay.
The only note that I had for this last little section that we haven't covered yet was the fact that, no wonder Canadius was able to create such amazing things. If he built his house first thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If time moves at what, a tenth of the speed in there, maybe a little less than that, then Canadius probably had the 1,000 or so years, or even longer than that he's been around. He's had even longer than that to actually create the things he's created. He's had possibly the actual time that he's actually working on his projects, possibly, who knows, 10,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
dude literally had all the time.
Yeah, all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how this really plays into Joe's sort of philosophy on magic, where it's sort of like, you have to understand each individual thing in order to affect it. So, Malachus quite has to learn all of the plants and how they work and all of this, because if you don't understand it, you can't control it.
Right.
So, Canadius being able to know that much about time, which is such a fantastic concept.
Yeah.
It's madness.
It is.
It all adds to the whole sense of, like, anybody who says the magic is here just for like convenience. I mean, this is all a part of that magic world. All the things we mentioned, the long eye, sorcerers, runes. I love how all that is there. All the pieces are there, and we're left to kind of put them together ourselves and figure out, how it maybe works. And the mystery of it is very ominous, a little scary, and very cool and powerful.
Yeah.
So how would you guys rate that chapter?
Well, I'm gonna give it an 8 and a knuckle. I'm holding it in for which I'm holding it in for which chapter is gonna come up, but 8 and a knuckle.
I'm gonna go with 9 and 9. I know. I fucking love this chapter. It's so good for the characters. There's really good exposition and world building, but it's less ham-fisted than it has been previously. Not that I didn't like the other ones at all. I love all the ways he does exposition, but this one is even more natural, scary. There's just a lot going on in this chapter, and there's so many things to look at. That's why we spent a whole episode on it. So I got to give it a 9 out of 9.
Go for
it. I'm going to have to agree. 9 out of 9 is mine.
Go for it.
I'd give it more if I could, but he's only got 9 fingers, so
we only got 9 fingers. We only got 9 fingers. Well,
Right.
that's
So
fun.
I'm really, really interested. This is the chapter that brings me back to this book again and again and again, because I'm always waiting for this moment where Joe sort of finds his narrative voice. And
Yeah.
because the first book is always the hardest.
It
Yeah,
is
Because
And
you've got
this
to introduce all these characters, and we do see a little bit of a failing in that, where the plot in this book isn't exactly, riveting. It's very
Right.
formulaic, and the way that he goes about things, even though there are, subversions here and there, the characters are what drives it forward. And this is the first time where we've got all these characters in one place, and they're actually doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that is it. He's just found it, and it never goes downhill again from here.
That's a good point. I
Very good
didn't
point.
think about it that way, George, but you're right. The entire last few chapters of this book, which is crazy that we're coming up on that already, but the
Mhm.
entire last few chapters of this book are like really, really good. I think the
Mhm.
last chapters in this book are like the best chapters in the book overall.
Oh, for
and-
sure.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's a good point, though, George. I didn't think about it that way.
And it gives me hope because, looking forward, we've got so many good chapters. We've got so many good moments coming up, and yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
9 out of 9.
9 out of 9 for the two of you. Look at that. I wanted to give it, but you know which one I'm gonna do it.
You can
for.
have more than one.
No. My first one, I gotta save. I gotta reserve.
It's
He's
special.
saving it up.
I'm
It's
saving
gonna
it
be
up.
a big one.
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be wild. All right. So let's move on to our spoiler / question of the week / whatever the fuck segment this is gonna
Interaction with the community. That's what we're calling this
there we-
section.
Community interaction segment. That's what
Community, yeah.
Got a
The
bit of
community
music in there.
segment.
Yeah. You know what? We are gonna have
Do
to.
do do do. It's time
commu-
for the community section.
Okay, there you go. And we, Harrison, you want to take this over?
Yes. Hey, give me a second. I accidentally exited out earlier of my stuff. I had it all pulled up and ready to go, then I exited out.
What kind of adeptus are you? Hello, everyone. This is your Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, just popping in. Just wanted to remind you that in this section, we will be discussing spoilers. And if you're reading the books for the first time and you don't want to be exposed or spoiled, make sure to skip this section and just go ahead to the end, which will be in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But if you're a person that doesn't care, then go ahead and live your best life and listen on in. All right, just wanted to give you guys another heads up. Spoiler warning. So the community interaction segment. Harrison, go ahead and take it over.
Yeah, so like we did last week, we posted a poll up on Reddit. On this time, we also did it on Twitter and Instagram as well for everyone's favorite siege battles, and we got quite a bit of interaction with it, which was awesome to see. So we have the Siege of Visserine, the Siege of Fontesarmo, Siege of Adua, Siege of Dagosca, Siege of Carleon. The Siege of Carleon is kind of a halfway battle, halfway actual siege. But we put it in there because we didn't have it in last time for the battles, because there wasn't enough room. But the Siege of Dagosca won firmly, at least on Reddit here, with 116 votes for it, followed by Adua, then Carleon, then Visserine, then Fontesarmo. And then a lot of people, especially in the comment section, said that the battle in the high places should be considered a siege, and they are like, "Oh, it's so good. Well, you should have put that one on there." Which, I guess, fair enough. I thought about putting it on here originally, but everybody treated it like a battle, and it won the vote last time. And I have no doubt if I didn't put the battle of the high places on the battle tier list on the poll, everyone would have said, "Where's the battle in the high places?" So either I put it on both or I put it on one. So, but still, everyone apparently loves the battle in the high places. Jeff, what did the other platforms think?
Oh, on Twitter, 67. Okay, so on Twitter and Instagram, for some reason, I was only allowed to do 4 options for the poll, which is like communist. Anyway, so I had Viscerine, Fontesarmo, Dagoska, and Adjua on there. Dagoska won on Twitter with 67%, and Adjua came in second with 33%, and then no one else voted for the other two. Then for Instagram, we have same thing, 4 options on Instagram. So 56% people said Dagoska, 22% said Adjua, and 11% for both Fontesarmo and Viscerine. So it looks like clean sweep for Dagoska. Right?
Yeah. That's George's favorite one, isn't it, George?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this comment. It's King Krong 52 on Reddit, who just says, "Why is there even a poll? We all know it's going to be Dagoska."
It's true. This one wasn't as popular as the Battles one, but it's still pretty.
I think they've all got their merits. That's the thing.
Yeah, I gotta love the optimism from that guy. Jesus.
I mean, the only one that I would say, we see Viscerine.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Viscerine because we don't see it from any of the actual defenders' point of view or anybody that's making decisions. It's just, you're just watching it and it's happening and you can't really do anything about it.
Right.
I find that really interesting.
It's a really good bystander perspective that a lot of the other sieges don't have, where they're just like in a fiery city, in a city under siege. And it does create a certain atmosphere in it that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'd especially love the house that they're in, and the peasants that come along and they just want to chill in the basement, and then they turn them in, and you see and then you sort of see like the Viscerine equivalent of the Inquisition,
yeah,
and you see that side of it as well. And I think that's a really interesting section in Best Served Cold.
Mm-hmm. Monza could have saved Shiver's eye just by being a little bit more ruthless with those peasants.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then Fontesarmo, George, you also said you really liked that one, didn't you?
That's a great one.
Oh, yes. Because we get the moment with Costco when he lures, is it Cesario? I can't remember, one of his lieutenants.
Yeah,
and he lures him down the tunnel, and he's just like, surprise, bitch, and just stabs him, like whacks him over the head with a lamp.
Yeah, it's a complete chaotic situation.
Yeah. And then he's running out, he's like, Rah!
Yeah, that's that old like stereotype where he's running for cover, and then it just doesn't go off, and he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then,
it's hilarious.
And then it actually does go off, which is great.
And then you get the whole, they're being ransacked by all the mercenaries and they're just trying to steal stuff, and it's just like very comical. It's great.
Yeah, it's honest. It's awesome.
It's one that I think a lot of people are like, "What the fuck, Fontesarmo?" I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the name of it. Because it is more of a.
Because it's the fortress outside of Talons, right?
All right, yeah, and it's like the set piece for like the entire last section of Best Served Cold, but I don't think a lot of people think about it as the siege. You just think, oh yeah, it's the end of Best Served Cold.
Yeah, gotcha.
But and then of course Siege of Adjua is, the finale to the original trilogy, which is very epic, and there's a lot of elements going on. But also it kind of ends in a weird way, in my opinion, not in a negative way, but like it's kind of a weird ending. It's one you don't expect with
a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, basically a nuclear bomb going off in the city.
I love that, and I love how you get the typical Deus Ex Machina with Duke also just turning up and being like, all right, I'm here to save the day.
Yeah, and he's got his fleet and shit, and but it's probably the most epic one in my opinion, like very fantasy, like charge,
Yeah, no, for sure. Like Polder's charge. Yeah. And it makes sense, like Orso would show up to protect his daughter, because she's now married to Giselle.
Which again was Giselle's fucking kingly move. Anytime he makes a kingly decision, it's always a fucking badass one.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Because anytime he is like, oh, you're staying here because you're the fucking queen, bitch. So, sorry, you married me. Your fault. You should have married me. And then he also is like...
Not like she had a choice, though, man.
Yeah. And then he leads
We'll get into the ethics of that later.
Yeah. We'll get into the... Yeah, and then he leads the charge down there, and I don't know. Giselle has a lot of good moments in that scene.
I especially love the moment where he just heedlessly charges into the Gurkish.
Right, and then bias... Go ahead.
What the fuck are you doing, you fucking idiot? I told you not to do that.
And Giselle's like, but I thought I did good.
You charged into that battle when I specifically requested you not to.
You moron. Oh, man. Yeah, well, so just to reiterate, Dagaska won, right?
Yes, and then finally Dagaska, of course, fucking Galacta being in it. Like Galacta carries Dagaska, and Dagaska itself is so well paced. It's so entertaining, and you still feel that sense of like, oh my god, they're in a siege.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree. I mean, Dagaska, it's just such a slow build up, and this is realistic as well. Sieges they can last for years.
They can.
You know, and to have this happen over the course of the first 2/3 of the book, or is it first half of the book? First half of the book was be generous, and the whole back and forth with Glocta and Salt about in the letters is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and all the intrigue and the betrayals. It's a fantastic piece of writing.
It is. No, it's great. That fucking wish we could go back to Dagaska. Not in real life, but you know.
And I like too that, like you said, like sieges can last years, and normally it would have. In this instance, it could have lasted years, but because of the Gurkish black powder, it adds a whole new element to all the sieges. And Casca even mentions that in Viscerine. He's like, "Man, this black powder changes everything."
Yeah,
and I like that element in there of like world building too. That is like you're like, oh, there's a little bit, we see in the blade itself that there's some gunpowder, okay, and then inside of before the hang, it comes out swinging. You're like, oh shit, it's here. Gunpowder's here.
Oh shit. I like that Joe isn't going full on like everyone's having pistols and shit like that. I like that he's just keeping it mainly to.
I like how it is realistic. Like it doesn't really matter what kind of weapon you have or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just, do you have a weapon and are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So next week or this week, you guys will let's see. I'm trying to think of timeline. So yeah, the episode when this comes out, you guys will see that there is a poll out for the Bloody Nines outings, which I'm pretty excited to put up on the poll and see what people think.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. This is a passion project, as you all know, for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next week as we cover Nobody's Dog and Each Man Worships Himself.
And be sure to follow us on all of our social media. We're on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram. We're at YouTube now as well, so go and check out the YouTube channel. There's some really cool videos on there.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use to listen to podcasts on. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast as it helps to spread our reach. Thank you all again for listening.
Now that's craftsmanship.